Well, good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining me. This is another edition of our weekly real estate backstory. We do this every single Monday morning at 9 a.m. So hopefully it's a good way for you to start your week, and maybe you can catch it later, that kind of stuff. But we kind of cover real estate news, information, tidbits, insights, hopefully that will help you both grow your business and really know kind of what's going on in the real estate market, especially here in the Atlanta area, kind of thing. So my name is Alan Richardson. I'm the managing broker at Maximum Realtor and Realty Partners. I'll be your host for today. It's just going to be me today. A lot of times I have some guests and my wife and partners on here as well. So, but you're just kind of stuck with me today. So we are going to kind of run through. It's the end of the year. So, like all of our offices will be closed on Friday this week. There is no training to speak of this week. It's normally this week in real estate's kind of a pretty slow, dead week, and that really leads me into where I really want to start talking this morning, and that is about what are the habits of highly successful realtors, of our top producing real estate agents, real estate teams. What are those habits? What do they do? What are the attributes that they have that really helps them be really effective? So, part of the reason why I wanted to start off with this is we're wrapping up our year. We only got a few days of 2020 left. Woo! But, we're getting ready to start off on 2021. We really want to start off on the right foot. And so it's time that we stop and take a moment. We are all going to spend some time reflecting on 2020 for sure. But we also need to look at our business and how that's been. Because if you want to be real honest about it, 2020 for the real estate industry not been a terrible year. We've had a lot of huge successes. For the brokerage, we've had month after month of highest months that we've ever done. A lot of continued growth. I know so many we're blessed to work with so many realtors that have had their best years ever. So it's been a really great time on one hand. And on the other hand, we know there's a lot of people hurting, a lot of things going on. We'll talk about some more of that. But it's also the time to reflect about, what do we need to do and really how can we go into 2021 and really be on fire? And so one of the biggest things I want you to look at is what are the attributes of the people who are killing it? The folks who are crushing their business. What are they doing and how can we emulate that success kind of thing? And so I've got 12 things I'd like to run through the list with you. And I want to try and run through it pretty quick, but I just want to kind of go over this. And so the very first thing is that you treat your business like a business. The folks that are the most successful, really truly look at their business as a business. I may be your broker, but you don't work for me. You are your own small business person. You have your own company. You may only have one employee of your company, that may be you, but you are your own business. And when we find the agents that treat their business like a business, not treat their business like they work for a broker, not treat their business like they work for somebody else or like they do real estate. No, this is their company. When they treat their business that way, they succeed a lot more. Number two, have and follow a morning routine and a schedule. Top producers constantly have a morning routine that they follow and that leads all the way into actually truly having a schedule. And I know a lot of us got into real estate because we didn't want to have a schedule. But guess what? The folks who again, if you're treating your business like a business, what do you have? You have a schedule kind of thing. Number three is that top producers have a business plan, reference it on a regular basis. They set goals and then they track their performance. Do you know what your numbers are, and how that equates into your key performance indicators? That's a very important thing. We need to have our goals. We need to have a business plan. Number four, you need to invest in yourself and invest in your business. What books have you been reading? The average CEO of your Fortune 500 companies reads 60 books a year. Well, guess what, Buttercup? You are the CEO of your company, and you need to be investing in yourself. And at the same time, also your business. What money are you spending or investing, is the better word, in marketing your company kind of thing? There's a lot of agents that I don't spend a penny. Well, there's a reason that Coca-Cola, after all these years, still spends a lot of money on marketing, and that's because it drives sales. So number five, know your neighborhoods inside and out, upside, downside, everything about your neighborhoods. The more market knowledge you have, the more valuable you are. Number six, have a listing presentation. and practice it. I don't mean just we wing it, pew, pew, just kind of, being a gunslinger. No, actually have a true listing presentation. Number 7, have a buyer's presentation and practice it. Now, for a lot of folks, like, I just want to do listings. I want to just do listings. Listen, there's a lot of changes coming down the pike, as far as what's going on with buyer brokerage. We've got to start working into having a value proposition for ourselves on being on buyer brokerage services kind of thing. And so that's one of those things I think is really, really important kind of thing. Number 8, focus on communication, and especially education. Right now, almost 40% of our buyers are millennials. They've never bought a home before. So, that means 4 out of 10 really need just a lot of information. And even if you have bought a home before, is the market different now? Heck yeah. So we got to really be focusing on communication and education with our clients. Number 9, have and utilize a sphere of influence, a database, some way so that all the relationships that you have go into one place. Then that's where you then market out of those kind of things. Number 10, utilize multiple lead systems that drives leads into your database. You need to have multiple lead systems that constantly push leads in your database so that you can engage with them. That is one of the biggies out there, is that, for a lot of folks, like during the last downturn when a lot of agents got out of the business, why? It's because they had one lead system and that dried up, they were done kind of thing. Number 11, utilize social media. It's time. We need to be utilizing social media, but I'm not talking about sitting and watching cat videos with funny hats for 17 hours. No, I'm talking about actually using social media as a true platform to build your business. I highly, highly suggest you utilize the 10-10-10 method. And that's where you spend 10 minutes producing content, 10 minutes going down your news feeds, and 10 minutes going across your stories. And if you'll engage with folks like that and just spend 30 minutes a day, you'll be amazed how successful you can be. And it also stop you from spending 14 hours on it. Last one is, number 12 is that we have to be constantly networking, whether it's with our mortgage partners, attorneys, inspectors, or even clients, going to those events, those functions. You have to always, top producers are always networking, and other realtors are just as important. So if you can follow those 12 habits of really successful realtors, it too can help you grow your business. I can't say if you do those, you'll be successful. I can say that the folks who are really successful all do those. So, let's just we're going to kind of jump into some of the news. And so, again, I am nonpartisan kind of thing. And so I'm just going to kind of shoot straight, and we're going to skip over a lot of the fluff. But, I do think that there's some of the news that really pertains to the real estate world. And so this past week, Congress passed a COVID relief package. What does that mean for real estate? Well, there's really only a few things in there that are truly going to affect real estate. One is that there is a $600 check for every adult child in person earning up to $75,000. Then it's scaled down for people under $99,000. If you earn over $100,000, you get nothing. But we're talking about $600, so it's not really a huge impact. The real kicker here is, not the real one, but one of the benefits that we see is that COVID has really impacted renters to a large degree. And so unemployment benefits have been extended, and there's an additional $300 from the feds kind of thing going through March. And that to me is a nice staggered approach kind of thing, much better than what it has been kind of thing. Also, self-employed and gig workers are going to qualify. And then the last thing is that they are putting in $25 billion for rental assistance. As I said, my concern with COVID and the housing market is that the rental market is really, really hugely affected. And so the eviction moratoriums are through through January 31st now. But then they're putting an extra $25 billion out there to help renters. And honestly, helping renters helps landlords too, which is important to us as well. I don't want to see people get evicted and that kind of stuff. But by the same token, you can't have a house and not have your tenant paying rent, and you still have to pay your mortgage. So, it's a double-edged sword there. So those are really the three big things. I'm not going to get into when it should have happened, who did it, and that kind of stuff. There's other parts to it, but as far as it goes to real estate, those are the biggies and how that's going to affect us. Also, this past week, we had another lawsuit going out against, and basically, now this is out of Massachusetts, but it does have far-reaching effects. We've had two other lawsuits this past year that have basically been kind of agreed upon, and how that's really moving. But this new lawsuit is really, again, going after. It's going after commissions. Everybody in their world has been shoving their hand in our pocket on commissions forever, and it's only getting more intense, kind of thing. So we're seeing where, like the new suit in Massachusetts, what they're saying is that they shouldn't have had to pay for the buyer brokerage services as a listing. I mean, as part of their listing, that they were forced to, kind of thing. Now here in Georgia, you get to split that up however you are, and the whole 9 yards, and we get to say how we will break that out or won't. And we're going to be starting to see what the buyer brokerage services are listed into the MLS as well as on the public portals. That's going to be something that's going to be visible now. And for me, really where this is heading and where we have to start being prepared is we've got to start discussing buyer brokerage services and the fees that we charge. And we have to have, we can't just take it for granted. See, for a long time, buyer brokerage service was just taken for granted. And it was kind of thing because a lot of times, we basically wrongly said that our services were free. And that's wrong because, yes, does the seller pay? Sort of, because it is part of the seller fees, but in the end, who's buying the house? The buyer. So the buyer really is paying because the buyer ends up paying for the house, which then funds the ability to pay for that. I'm starting to see a lot more leanings where, people are wanting to see the buyers pay for the buyer brokerage services and the sellers pay for the seller brokerage services. And that poses a big risk for realtors because we know that a lot of our buyers don't have that extra $5,000, $6,000, $10,000, $12,000 to throw in on the buyer brokerage services. And so we're seeing where there's a lot of pressure on that. So the very first thing is that as a buyer's agent, in the past, buyer's agents didn't really have to focus on having a value proposition. You do now. You really need to be ready to discuss the value that you bring to the table and how it is so much more than just looking for a listing online. That's probably one of the biggest things is that we see so many people like, well, I found my house online. Well, guess what? There's a lot to it, but we're not explaining what all that process is on going through buyer brokerage services. So we have to be able to go through and explain the value that we bring beyond just, yes, you can go search. Guess what? I'm going to let you have be able to search on my website that I provided for you, which is a smart first move. But the next step is that we have to explain all the other steps, all the other parts where we are going through and protecting them and using our expertise to guide them through the entire transaction. It is crucial that we do that. So it's time to start having not only a listing presentation, but a buyer's presentation, and then be ready to use stories to explain your value proposition again. Listing agents, we need to be defending our buyer's agents. It's very easy to take the approach of, oh goodness, well, that's just the buyers. I focus mainly on listings. Well, guess what happens if there's no more buyer's agents? Guess who's doing all the work? For example, my mom lives in Australia, and over there they only have listing services. Basically, there's very, very few buyers brokerage agents, kind of thing, and that's because they moved into this same model, and it basically wiped out half of the real estate agents in the country because so their buyers are almost unrepresented. Everyone represents sellers. No one represents buyers. And it's a very weird market, and we could be heading down that way if we're not very careful. As a listing agent, a lot of times, well, not a lot of times, but sometimes you end up working with that folk where you got to do all the work all the way through. Well, if we don't defend our buyers and buyers agents and they're not doing a good job, guess what? Listing agents, you're going to be doing both sides of the transaction, whether you like it or not, and getting the same amount of money. So first thing is make sure that we got to stop being offended if someone wants to discuss commission with us. They're going to discuss commission. And so we've got to be ready with our value proposition and to explain the value and the services that we bring. We got to stop with the whole, hey, my services are free kind of game, because that's not true. And understand that it is, I recently heard someone here in Georgia say, well, commission rebates are not allowed. They are, okay, and they are, commissions are negotiable as well. You may have a broker that says that they're not negotiable, and you can go that route, but that's going to be really, really, really difficult moving forward, kind of thing, to not have negotiable commission rates, because we're seeing where the industry is really heading that way. So rather than wait for it to run us over like a bulldozer, it's time that we really focus on being prepared and having our value propositions and explaining the necessity that we bring to buyer brokerage services. All right, back into the news. Jobless claims remained really high again last week, but they declined for the first time in 3 weeks. And so we keep seeing a lot of stuff going on with COVID. We're hoping that as the vaccines become more readily available, we start seeing the labor market continue to improve. It is getting better, but it's definitely at a pause right now, and largely because of COVID. As far as existing home sales, for the first time, you may hear on the news that existing sales declined for the first time in 5 months. Inventory's down. Well, that's very, very true, but this is very seasonal. It does this every year, and matter of fact, the fact that it finally fell is kind of a shocker that it hadn't happened already. Normally November, December are our slowest months traditionally every year. But one other thing that may come in under the radar is that inventory fell to 2.3 months nationally. So overall, in the entire US, there's 1.28 million homes for sale. And it's the lowest we've ever had. We started tracking in 1982. So for almost 40 years, we've always had more than 1.28 million of homes for sale in the US. And now we have less homes for sale than in 40 years, basically, or ever, for the most part. So the fact that that's kind of where we're going, I started off this series talking about, is the housing market going to go boom? We are highly dependent on supply versus demand, and I'll talk a little bit more about that. But the fact that we have an inventory that is only at 2.3 months of supply, and it's the lowest number ever, we're going to continue to keep seeing growth in the real estate world right now. There's way too much demand and way too little supply, kind of thing. Mortgage rates hit another record low again, 2.66 last week, kind of thing. And so that's really continued to keep driving. The mortgage rates and the forecast for mortgage rates are that they're going to be in the low to mid threes throughout the next year and a half, 2 years, kind of thing. So we may see a little bit uptick, but boy, it's not going to probably, it doesn't look to be much because the feds are very concerned about this. So, but with all the, what about all the forbearance activity going on right now? Well, I'm actually going to share this with you to kind of show, that you can kind of see that the number of mortgages in active forbearance have continued to decrease a lot, kind of thing. We went from 4.8 million roughly down to about 2.8 million, kind of thing. And a lot of that has been the foreclosure of, the moratoriums have been in place and that kind of stuff has been out there. But what about a lot of those have expired now. So what's that really mean? Well, the interesting thing is that for the folks that are exiting the forbearance plan, over half of them are paid in full, kind of thing. 30.8 have some kind of a workout plan. So really almost 85% of the folks that are in or have been in forbearance either worked it out or paid it off all the way together. So that was kind of a win for them. We still have about 15% roughly of folks that are still having some sort of trouble, kind of thing. So overall, though, we're only looking at about 1.9% are in repayment plans, short sale, or deed and lose. So that really is pretty low. There is another, of that 12.8% are not taking advantage of a loss mitigation plan. And that's kind of a big deal right there, because these are folks that really could use forbearance, but are not taking advantage of it. And it's not difficult to do. The biggest thing is they need to call the number on their mortgage and talk to their servicer. They don't need to answer anybody calling them. Is a big mistake. They need to be the one that initiates the phone call to their lender. This is not a position for a real estate agent to be. As realtors, we are not part of the forbearance plan. That's between them and their lender. We can advise them and guide them to make that phone call, but please don't go into that, open that Pandora's box at all. So, but what about home prices? Are they going up too fast? Are we heading into a boom? Well, you can see that in the US, existing median sales price, overall, year after year, our historic appreciation runs about a 3.8% growth. So just under 4, and that's been, since 2000, we've been running right at about 3.8. So, but that's how it looks when it's all pretty, right? That's how it looks over the long term kind of thing. What's it look like? How about if you actually look at U.S. existing home median sales price, the actual appreciation? Because historic appreciation is 3.8. That's where we really run. But when you really look at it, there's hills and valleys. Excuse me. So of course, we saw appreciation take a hit starting in 2008 to about 2014. It kind of took a dip there. Now we're starting to see a little bit of a blip heading up. Does that mean that we are getting outside the realm of reasonable? Not really. So I do expect that home pricing is going to soften, but I don't really see that happening until once we really get past summer. We're going to keep seeing price appreciation, in my humble opinion, through the summer. I mean, spring looks at this point right now, I would say we're heading into just a giant fireball of a spring. We have a ton of pent-up demand, and we don't have a whole lot of supply. So what's going to be very interesting to see is how our sellers start feeling as we move forward. The builders are building a lot. It's a really great place for us to be right now. But, we need more inventory. Obviously, we need a lot of inventory. And because you can see, like on this graph here, this shows inventory versus home price. Listen, guys, residential real estate is tied to the laws of supply versus demand. We have a ton of demand. So therefore, our inventory is low, and that makes our home prices go up. If we had a ton of homes, that'd be a lot different, but that's really not where we're at, kind of thing. So you can see that since 2008, it's really been a pretty steady rise. And a lot of that comes down to we've been making babies a lot faster than we've been building houses. So where does that mean that home pricing is looking to be? Well, roughly in the next 12 months, they're looking at about a 6% appreciation in home pricing, kind of thing. Now, CoreLogic is always a little bit more modest kind of thing, but you can really see that Realtor.com is looking at 5.7, NAR is looking at 4.5. Freddie Mac, Fannie Mae, and the Mortgage Bankers Association is looking much more modest. I just really can't see that being that modest. And again, these are national numbers, but here in the Atlanta market, we've been in double-digit growth throughout since really about March or April is really when we started seeing price appreciation largely. We all saw that dip that we had in February, that kind of thing, but immediately it started turning around. So, I don't look at that really dropping off anytime soon. We are going to start coming back around to where those prices started going back up, and that's where it will start to flatten out a little bit compared to versus last year. But I really do think that we're going to end up the year in that 6 to 7% prior to last year, and I think that we'll probably be in double digits through probably April. So January, February, March, and April is probably we're going to be in that 10 to 15%. In my opinion, home prices over prior year, and then we should start leveling out versus last year. Then you may say, but Alan, what about all these foreclosures coming in here? And so you can see where Lawrence Young even said, any foreclosure increases will likely be quickly absorbed by the market, will not lead to any price declines. We're seeing the same thing. There's all these real estate REITs real estate investment trusts that are poised and ready to buy any properties that they can. There's a lot of money hoping to cash in on any kind of inventory coming into the market, but we have way more demand than we have supply. So let's see. All right, so I want to kind of jump real quickly into or wrap up today, because we have, we're wrapping up this year and we're moving into 2021. So, but 2020 has made some changes to the way that people are looking at their homes, and some of these design trends that we've seen in housing, and that is probably going to lead us into 2021 and not just be COVID related. And like one of the biggies that we've seen a big shift is away from the open concept. The open floor plan is one that has been, prior to COVID, everybody wanted open concept. None of them knew how to decorate it, but they all wanted open concept, open floor plans kind of thing. And now we all want Zoom rooms, cut up spaces, that kind of thing. Prior to COVID, open shelving was like the hot thing, having open shelves everywhere. Done. Nobody wants that. Everybody wants everything cleaned and sanitized. That being said, another really interesting thing we've seen is that the idea of sterilized cold spaces, you'd think would be really popular because people want, sanitation's a big deal right now. People want warm and cozy and that kind of stuff. So those are three design trends that really kind of, I think, will lead forward ahead. Now, as far as what are our buyers wanting the most, the National Association of Home Builders, NAHB, came out with a list of the 11 top home features that buyers want most. And so this is one of those where, these don't always negate directly into purchase prices, increases kind of thing. But what they do is they really reduce time on market. And if we can provide those, like as flippers, or if we're advising our clients on what to do and what not to do, these are the things to do. So the number one thing on the list is a laundry room, not a laundry closet, that kind of thing. A laundry room is the number one home feature that buyers want most. And so, if you can make space or provide that, or if you have a laundry room, make it look as spacious as you can. Number two, energy efficiency. We all want to keep our costs down. Energy efficient appliances and windows are number two thing on the list. Number three, patios, because a lot of us are not going out anymore. So that outside living is a big deal again. Number four really struck me as kind of an odd one, and mainly because it's not really, most of the stuff like are big deals. But number four on our list of our buyers wants, ceiling fans in every room. So not that I have any real problem with that. It just struck me as being odd that it would be number four on the list of what our buyers want, is that ceiling fans are a big deal. Number five, garage storage spaces. So the junky, clunky garages are out. Organized garage spaces that have places to put all that kind of stuff. Big deal. Number six, exterior lighting. Now, here's the really toughie for us in the real estate industry, is that most of our buyers don't look at houses at night, so they won't see it until they own it. But so if you are going to, if your sellers do have exterior lighting in the evening that lights their house up, then you've got to have a photographer take some nighttime pictures so they can see that kind of thing, because exterior lighting is a big deal right now. Number seven, walk-in pantries. This is one that we've seen this trend growing, ahead, but now with so many more people spending a lot of time at home, having a true walk-in pantry, it's a big deal. Number eight, which has been around for forever, hardwood floors. Get rid of the carpet. Everybody wants hardwoods kind of thing. Number nine, walk-in master bedroom, master closet. So walk-in master closets are a big deal. That is, we've actually seen, there's another study that says a walk-in closet is more important than a fourth bedroom in terms of for the majority of buyers. Number 10, eat-in kitchens. Kitchens that even though the open floor plan is kind of going away, the eat-in kitchen is kind of an open floor plan for the kitchen area kind of thing. So eat-in kitchens are a big deal. We're spending a lot more time at home, so those eat-in kitchens are a big deal. We're seeing folks doing their homework and that kind of stuff in there. And then the last one is dining rooms. Dining rooms are kind of on the way out. And so when I say dining rooms, I really mean flex rooms. Because we're seeing where that what used to be called a formal dining room. Well, that formal dining room can be a dining room, or it can be an office, or it can be a study room, or it really fits into a lot of different needs for our buyers today. So having that other room that can really be very flexible, we would call it a formal dining room, but that additional room, that's a big deal to buyers today. So that's all I have for you guys today. I hope this was helpful and useful. If I can be of any service, please let me know. Call, text, smoke signals. I answer it all. So I appreciate you guys. I hope you guys have a wonderful year. I will see you next year. Yes, that joke's not going to get crazy old real fast. But I hope you guys have a wonderful year, or have finished up a wonderful year. I hope that next year is just the best ever. So bye, y'all.